In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I left the US and moved to the Dominican Republic. And you might want to stay around for the last one because that one I think not everyone is going to agree with. Now, one thing I want to mention is that my case is a little bit different than most people. Although I was born and raised in New York, I also lived in New Jersey, Texas, and Florida. Also keep in mind that this is based on my opinions and my experiences. All right, that being said, let's start with number 1, safety. That's right, I feel more safe where I live here now than I did in any place I lived in the States. Now, I lived in some rough areas growing up, but the last 10 to 15 years, I've been living in some pretty nice areas and I still feel safer here. I have kids and I just didn't feel safe going out with them, whether it's to the supermarket or to the parks. Just anywhere really, I would feel uneasy. This probably has to do with all the random acts of violence that's been happening the last, I don't know, 5-10 years or what it feels like forever now. And it's just not something that I feel here when I go out with my kids. Even at night, it's very common to see a family out at night in the parks and no one feels any certain way, nothing ever happens. And that's something that I value a lot. Now, I will admit that no matter where I am in the world, you're not gonna see me at 2 a.m. in the morning strolling around in the neighborhood. Number 2, the schools. Now, like I said before, because I have kids, that weighed heavily into my decision to leave the US. One of my kids were getting ready to go to school this year for the first time, and I just didn't envision them going to school in the US with everything that's been going on as far as all the violence we've been seeing throughout the country in schools. In the Dominican Republic, one thing I noticed right away is how different the system is. The teachers greet the kids, they hug them. The environment in school over here overall is just more family friendly. The next one is climate and geography. Now this is an easy one. The weather here all around is just much better than anywhere I lived in the US. For example, in New York and New Jersey, it's cold most of the year. The spring and the summertime is beautiful, but it just does not last that long. When I lived in Houston, Texas, the weather was just wacky. The summer would be super hot and humid, and in the wintertime, you don't know if to put your jacket on, take it off. The weather would just be all over the place and the temperatures would just be super low in the morning, and in the afternoon, it would come up to a place where you don't know what to do. In Florida, the weather was a lot better, but still there was something missing, and I think it was the geography. Here in the Dominican Republic, you have mountains down to the best beaches in the world. And you also get some really cool rivers. And that's just something that Florida didn't have, being that it's pretty much flat land throughout the state. The next reason is the culture. One thing that really bothered me in the US was the culture. I just got fed up with it many years ago. And this is due to all the divisiveness that's been going on in the country the last couple years. And I feel like it just kept getting worse and worse. Now, I've been coming to the Dominican Republic since I was a kid. Every year. And one thing I could tell you is that the stress level in the US is much higher than it is here in the Dominican Republic. This is because the culture is very different. You get much more laid back people, and stress isn't really a word that anyone uses. Also, to me, in this country, it's just much more family oriented than back in the States. For example, on Sundays, I feel like almost everything is closed. This is pretty much a forced family day, a forced relaxation day. Whether you're going to the beach, whether you're going out to a river, or just staying put at home, it's a day for you to be with your family or just relax. Another thing that I really like is that over here, it would be almost disrespectful if you didn't say good morning, good afternoon, good night. For example, if you're in an elevator, every time somebody comes in, they're saying buenos dias, hello, saludos, how are you? It's just a normal thing here, and I really like that. And reason number 5, I just never really felt like I was part of the US. Now, this is probably because when I was a kid, I've seen my parents be treated unfairly. Also, I've had many experiences with either racism or something else that might have made me feel like I just wasn't wanted. Now, on the opposite side, when I would come to the Dominican Republic, I would feel like I belonged here. I always knew it wasn't normal that when it was time to go back to the US, I would always get emotional. I would cry as an adult and I just would feel like I wanted to stay. It was important for me to get my family back to the Dominican Republic, connect with the roots, and make sure that my kids don't lose that Dominican culture as well. So those are some of the reasons why I decided to move my family out of the US. I want to hear what you think. Have you had similar experiences? Are there other reasons why you might want to leave the US? Make sure to leave it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this one.